variations of the correlation all over the world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And do you think that this is, is this the connection with astrotheology here? Is this simply, kind of like the worship of the stars in that sense, or do you think that this have connection with stuff like navigation and things like this? Things like this.
Well, I think that the way that the way that the ancient ones perceive the universe is totally different from our secular way that we look at the sky now. We might think it's beautiful, or amazing, or just to gaze up at the sky. But when the ancient people were doing this, this was part of their cosmology, and the sky was alive, and the stars were deities, and there was a living human universe that was living. It wasn't a dead universe, which the stars weren't just balls of gas exploding up there, but they were spirits, and they were gods. So there's a whole different point of view that you can sort of we can get an idea of the reverence that these ancient people must have had.
Yeah.
They were great sky watchers. The Hopi called them Taubo Mungwi, which is a sun watcher, but they were also star watchers as well. And they would, because it was a sedentary culture, they would be able to see where the sun rose on the horizon on a given day, and this would become part of their calendar for agricultural reasons, partly to keep track of where they were in the ceremonial calendar as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The summer solstice and winter solstice points were big times in their calendar. Of course, the summer solstice is where the sun rises in the most northern point on the horizon. And a sun watcher would look at the horizon and maybe pick out a butte or a mesa in the distance, and that would be the marker when the sun would rise. That would be a little memory kind of marker.
Yeah.
And where the sun would rise on the winter solstice, the farthest south. And the sun goes north and south according to the season where it rises and sets.
Oh yeah.
And these were very important to the people. They weren't just just a pretty sunrise. It was their lifeblood, because it told them when to plant crops and so forth.
Yeah.
And they would become a part of this whole cycle with their rituals. They would do winter solstice rituals, partly to help the sun come back from the south. They thought that perhaps that if they didn't do these rituals, the sun would keep going south and never come back.
Yeah.
So it was part of their life that they performed these rituals.
Yeah. And I
keep the world in balance, and it was just a part of their whole cosmology.
Yeah. And I have a bit of a tricky question here to kind of get into the area of your articles regarding Phoenix and the 33rd parallel and so forth. And it's, let me see if I can articulate it. It's considering the fact that there is of course in our world now a Masonic connection to the city of Phoenix in that sense, and even how other cities around the world are laid out, and that they still kind of continue this ritual in that sense, that there might have been, for instance, a hidden hand behind.
Yeah, that's something that my book goes into to a degree, because I found that the city of Phoenix, Arizona, is located on the 33rd parallel. Of course, the 33 is a sacred number in Masonic philosophy. It's the highest degree to which a Mason can aspire. But as I looked across the globe, I found a lot of important sites on the 33rd parallel north.
Mm.
For instance, the first time the atomic bomb was exploded was at the Trinity site in New Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is on the 33rd parallel.
Yep.
If you look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the 33rd parallel runs directly between these two cities.
Yeah.
And there are sites in both North America and in the Middle East where important sites, like you mentioned before, Babylon,
Yeah.
south of in modern-day Iraq. It's located on the 33rd parallel.
Yeah.
The White Pyramid in China,
China, yeah.
which we've seen photographs of, is located on the 33rd parallel.
Mm.
I have a colleague in Israel just recently wrote to me and said that he found a Knights Templar church built exactly on the 33rd parallel in Israel. So
Interesting.
this seems to come up all the time.
Yeah.
This 33rd parallel.
Exactly. And
there's also a group of what are called geoglyphs in western Arizona, southwestern Arizona, and eastern California.
Mm.
And these geoglyphs are kind of like the Nazca lines in Peru. They're formed in the same manner. By removing some of the darker stones and figures, drawing figures across the desert in this way. And there's a whole bunch of these large geoglyphs. Again, they're located on the 33rd parallel. And one geoglyph, for instance, has a Maltese cross or an iron cross in the desert, and you can see this thing in the desert, and located on the 33rd parallel. So there are a lot of different synchronicities there.
Absolutely, and do you think that considering the fact that the Hopi had a prophecy concerning what might be interpreted as the atomic bomb, for instance, could there be a connection here in, I guess, in Masonic lore that connects with Hopi mythology, in that sense that someone actually have picked up on this theme regarding that these people have a prophecy regarding certain things that must play out in our world before we can move into the fifth world? And could we now have people who are, I guess, aware of this and now actually are performing this ritual in that sense that they are, kind of enacting both World War I and World War II with these symbols and so forth, like the swastika?
I think you're right on there, because I stumbled across an outdoor Masonic ritual site, and it's sort of by Winslow, Arizona. It's by there is an ancient Hopi village ruin right at the site, and these Masons they used this site in the mid part of the 20th century, and it's still there right next to this Hopi village site. And there's for instance, a petroglyph of a checkerboard.
Mm.
Okay, it's a definite checkerboard, and the checkerboard pattern is found in every Masonic lodge in the world on the floor.
Yeah,
is part of their ritual lodge.
Yeah,
and you find this petroglyph done 1,000 years ago or so.
Mm.
The checkerboard pattern. So. I think the Masons were in touch with what the Hopi were saying, what the ancient Hopi were saying, and they went to this particular ancient ruin site and performed their own rituals there. And there's a big iron cross you can see for a mile or so away. It's just an amazing sight, and there are all these bizarre petroglyphs, some which seem like they shouldn't be there. For instance, a petroglyph that represents Venus
Yeah.
The symbol we know for Venus.
Mm.
You know,